Wide receiver, I make this comment all the time. It's arguably been the best position in college football over the last 7, 8 to 10 years, close to it, but over the last couple of years, not so much. So Justin Ross, he had a great start to his career, decent finish, 46 catches, 3 touchdowns, but not necessarily anything close to what he had done. But obviously he was coming off a huge injury. And Frank Ladson, who never fulfilled his potential, moves on to Miami. So set us up at wide receiver entering the spring.
Yeah, I'll start off by saying the wide receivers have got to be much better than what they were last year. For as unproductive as what they got from the quarterback position, the wide receivers did not help him out a whole lot. They weren't able to create a lot of separation. There were a ton of drops. I mean, it's just got to be better. The blocking on the perimeter's got to be better. There was a time not so very long ago that the Clemson receivers would take pride in their blocking on the outside, and that was something I didn't see a lot of last year. I don't want to question the effort because I think the effort was there, but at times it just kind of looked like some guys were lost. I know injuries played a huge part, but even early on in the season before the injuries really started settling in, Clemson was not getting much out of those receivers. They were not getting anywhere close to what they thought they were going to get. But heading into the spring with Justin Ross gone, this is going to be a big year for Joseph Ngata. He's another guy he's a guy that, like Ladson, has had trouble staying healthy. And when he was healthy for the first part of last season, we saw flashes of his potential. His average yards per reception were up there. I think they led the team, but this was over 15 yards per catch, if I'm not mistaken. So he's got big
19.
play potential. 18, yeah, he's got
19.
big play.
Yeah.
He's got big play potential, no doubt about it. He's just got to stay healthy. And then the guys behind him, well, not behind him necessarily, but EJ Williams is another guy who I thought was going to have a big year last year. Got hurt, a couple of different injuries for him. Had an injury to one of his hands, I think one of his fingers maybe, that he dealt with all season long. Then he injured his knee. This is a big year for him. Junior season. He's now one of the veterans of that group. They'll be looking for him to step up. Let me pull up the roster. I want to make sure I don't forget anybody on that, because when you start talking about receivers, there's so many of them. But
a Jew for sure.
Jew transferred out with Ladson.
Did he?
Yeah.
I missed that.
Sure did. He is heading down to South Florida, down there with Jeff Scott. The way last season played out for him, that really didn't surprise me a whole lot. The further we got into the season, the less we saw of him. I think he's a guy that just needs to be on the field to get some experience and learn, and he's not going to be able to do that at Clemson. It's just too many good players on the roster, too much talent in front of him. But other guys that need to step up next season. I shouldn't say step up with this guy because he stepped up last season. Bo Collins was a freshman, had a big second half for Clemson. Dakari Collins is another guy I like. I think those are really going to be 4 guys right there that we see a lot of next year. And a guy that doesn't get talked about a lot is Brandon Spector. Didn't play any last year due to some COVID-related issues. And Clemson missed having a true slot receiver on the field last year. I don't know that Spector would have been a starter if he was started some and not other games, or how that would have played out. But I thought Spector was going to be a guy that was going to be on the field a lot last year. I know Dabo Swinney was high on him coming out of spring. Last year they thought that he had taken a big step in his development. He's going into his 4th year, I think, now. And Clemson needs those smaller, twitchier guys on the field, because last year it was all those big, long, rangy guys. Even in the slot, you had Justin Ross and Bo Collins played in the slot some. And there's Troy Stellato's another guy who I think can take a big jump from. He was a freshman last year, redshirted, didn't enroll early, got injured in fall camp, fell behind, spent most of the season on this, in power hour, and then he got hurt again late in the season. But he's another one of those smaller, twitchier guys. He can play inside or outside, but he's more of just a slot receiver. And to me, that's where Clemson needs to get more production, is in that slot next year. They need those smaller, twitchier guys to step up. And then you got the two freshmen, Adam Randall and Antonio Williams. You asked me about a wild card with the running backs. I think Randall's a guy that can be a wild card with the receivers. If he comes in and he doesn't, and he doesn't fall behind or whatever, and he can stay on pace, I think that's a guy that we could see a lot of on the field next season. I'd say the same thing about Antonio Williams too, but he's not rolling early. Kind of puts him behind the 8 ball out of the gate. But he's another guy that I thought Antonio Williams was one of the more impressive receivers. I went and watched him live last season, and he's going to be really good for this team. I don't know how much it'll translate to his freshman season, but he's going to be really good in the future.
Bo Collins caught 31, 3 touchdowns. Dakari Collins with 16 catches last year in 2021.